Welcome to the Agent from Within podcast, the only podcast that's here to develop the real estate agent as a human being, to help you get out of your own way, to actually align yourself to what you really want in your life, and then build a real estate business around that. We have to focus on the person behind the strategies. Yes, this is going to be filled with tactics, business advice, amazing interviews. But if you're not in the right place mentally and emotionally, you will self-sabotage your business. You will chase, you will compare. This is about creating the best race car driver, not just the best race car. Any race car driver can jump into any car and win the race. We need to develop you as a human being. This is the only place that real estate agents can actually focus on growing yourself and growing your business. Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome to the Agent from Within podcast. Got a really, really good dude here, Scott Holliday. I've known him for a few years. He's, you're going to think I'm just saying this, but he's truly one of a kind. He's got a massive heart, unbelievable sales ability, and he's already tearing it up in real estate. We're going to talk about his real estate journey. We're going to talk about this business. Thank you so much, Scott, for jumping on the show, man.
Ben, thank you, sir. Thanks so much for having me, man. Like, honestly, a pleasure. So nice intro too, by the way. Awesome.
Not bad, eh? We made that up by myself just now.
Yeah, sounds good.
I have no clue what I said. If you liked it, that's good. You see those other podcasts, it's like they're freaking like, I don't know, man, like they're novelists or just unbelievable copywriters, and they just write, and he won an award when he was 3 years old. He won a contest. He won he won the bike one time, and he like all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, I'm just going to mess that up. So I just keep it real. And I just wing it, and I let you talk.
You're Mr. Keep It Real. You really are. Like I had I think I had an EXP podcast not too long ago with what's his name, Jay Kinder there, and it was kind of what you just said there. That was kind of the setting. I felt like it's just pre-done, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's really polished
here. Yeah, so
I get it, but I think we weight credibility way too high, especially in real estate. Everybody's number one. Everyone sold 1 million houses, and I'm the neighborhood expert, and like it almost becomes, and then people follow it because they compare each other, right? They're like, oh, I better do that because that guy's doing that. And then there we go. It just keeps going on and on and on. So I get it. Everyone's trying to build up their brand and they want to do that. But Scott, I want people to experience who you are. So tell me this, who are you? What's your background? Obviously you're an agent for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Tell me where do you come from? What's your backstory? Where are you from? Story.
So originally from Newcastle, England. I was actually born in England, moved to Canada when I was 6 years old, moved to Toronto, Ontario. So, we lived there throughout my childhood. Went a little bit more north after that, to a place called Hillsburg. It's kind of like south of Orangeville, south of Barrie, Ontario. Yeah. That's kind of, where we grew up. And I've been in Alberta for almost 6 years now. Made the transition over here initially from Ontario, and things got interesting. So
you came not as an agent,
no,
but LA Fitness.
Dude,
so what's the story there? Tell the story, because I think that's cool.
Totally different background, man. I was in the fitness industry for years. I'd say a good 10 years I was in the fitness industry. And back it up before that, I was a 911 dispatch operator. So I was in communication. I went to school for that. I went to school for that. Almost came very close to being a paramedic. Went through schooling on that, did a lot of voluntary, but I actually worked as in the communication center, did a lot of more on training hours, and had a bit of a career in the industry, but then switched right over. Someone introduced me to fitness, which I was really into at the time, but also introduced me to sales, selling, and that's finding something that you love to do and being really good at it, that kind of got me in the whole sales world, right? So that's why me and you we can just talk and talk, right? Because I know your background with we're very.
I think the thing is, sales to sales guy, personally, not into sales guys. I'm into sales guys with empathy. And
Yeah,
that's why
you are.
I mean that. I call you, I chat with you. I don't do that to everybody. And I'm like, I just sometimes want to get a little holiday fix sometimes and call
Yeah,
you up and we chat. We get the grind, we get hardcore selling, but we both know that there's an evolution that's happened and it's about human beings. And
100.
that's what's so cool. You've got a level of depth being such a skilled sales guy with a level of depth of human being. It's like my kind, right? Like I'm like, yo, you're in my tribe, man. I get it. Like once you've understood sales and you get the dirty side of it, but then you understand connection. You understand the power of that referral versus just power of the sale. And I know that's why me and you are connected on a couple levels. And I like that. I'll know you for a long time. I know that we'll be friends for a long time because of that. I think our connection that way.
One thing that really threw me off with you when I first kind of started following some of your stuff on social media, and then I had the experience of going in your program and things like that. But one thing that baffled my mind about you is that here's someone, and I can tell, that is seasoned in sales, but on the others, and usually you're when you're seasoned in sales and you're focused on sales, you get that kind of like shark mentality where you're missing other elements of the psychology. And I'm like, okay, this guy is very skilled in sales. And I mean, this guy could probably jump out on the field, hand me my ass in what I do right now, and go back to coaching, doing his thing. But he's got a strong depth of sense in the connection part. And usually you don't see both together. And I've told you that before.
Yeah.
Right. You see those coaching programs out there that are so focused and driven on sales scripts and this and that, but they never once check in on you, so it's like, I just thought that was one thing where I was like, okay, this guy is really on his game in terms of sales. He's a business guy, but on the other side of the fence, man, the guy's just had a deep conversation with me for an hour, after we did a listing or something like that. Like it's just, so that kind of, when I first met you, I was like, wow, this guy's he's unusual.
It's truly about the people, right? Like it's like sales is a cool skill, but it'll lead you to emptiness. It really will. You might get some sales and meeting a sales guy, that's great. Like sales in real estate is probably missing. A lot of people are missing the sales guy experience. But the thing is though, the sales is where you ask for business. And I think that's what's missing in real estate. Huge. Because I don't want to be a salesy person. I remember when I was like, I've been sold in a couple of years, and my whole team does everything now. But when I was in a listing, or when I was in a listing presentation, I knew that other people are like, well, just so you know, I'm not salesy, and I'm going to make sure I'm all relationships. So I go hit the table. I'm like, yeah, so just so you know, I'm a sales guy. And I want to explain something. Okay. Don't you want to have a sales guy selling your house? Like, don't you want a guy that understands how to get the pen into someone's hand and write an offer on your house? Don't you think that's a skill? I said, but here's the thing, deeply care about people. Right. And so what happens is anyone that went before me or after me that wasn't salesy, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you have to be proud that if you're going to sell real estate, you're a salesperson. Hello, you're selling houses. Like, and that's like, no, I don't do salesy. Okay. You've got a mental block there. And it's because of the old school salespeople have screwed the whole view of it. But we can understand, I want to reshape that, where sales is about connecting with the human being and understanding how to move them along and get them to write that offer, get them to sell that house, get them to sell. There's lots of cool techniques that are not manipulative, that are psychologically soothing to people, to help them decide. That's what it's like when you go to a TV, go buy a TV, you want a guy to be like, oh, pick whatever you want, whatever you like. No, you want a guy to be like, this is the best TV to buy it. You need to buy this one. And you're thank you. That's what a sales guy's for. And you value that. I think people need to understand that. Me and you could chat about that all day.
Yeah. And I think just like kind of on the other side, how you back it up too, though, is very, very important. That's very relevant to what you do, right? Like, just focusing on the customer so much. Like there's so many things I learned, just with you, and it's powerful, man. It's powerful. Like I still call myself out to these days when I have those closing and I'm like, oh, what am I getting for the closing gift again? Oh my God, Ben would.
What do I say? Like it's too late, dude. It's too late. You missed it.
So no,
So let's go. That's enough about me. Let's talk about you for a second. So
Sure.
here's the thing. I love your perspective. Okay. And I think a lot of people can learn from you. I think you're an absolute knowledge base, and you have a perspective coming in. You've been a vice president of a large organization in sales. You've got amazing background. You understand people. You get the grind. You get real estate in a way that I think a lot of people don't. So I think there's some good value here. Let's talk about this. New agents. Okay. Let's go new agents. You tell me this. What did you do? What would you do over again? What advice would you give a new agent?
I think, yeah, I mean, those are all good points. I think, number one, the first advice I would ever give a new agent is to make sure they understand the idea and the concept of scalability. I don't care, you've got perceptions, you've got ideas when you get into real estate, but at the end of the day, if you don't have anyone to work with, I think this is where these agents starve. I'll tell you right now, when I first got in just looking at fresh eyes, when I first walked into this industry, the first thing I noticed right off the bat was almost like, and I've wrote some content about this, but it's like you look at real estate as a whole, like in terms of like real estate, if you compare it to any business, any money driving mechanism, like real estate is up there. It's number one. Like the amount of money transition back and forth through transactions is mind blowing. Why the hell are some processes so dated? It's weird. And it's like,
yeah, man, I know.
And I think you actually kind of hit home on this once too, but it's so true. And it was one of my first perceptions of the field was like, I'm not even sure. And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way whatsoever, because all brokerages are different, but I'm not 100% certain that a lot of agents could even direct new agents to be successful in terms of business, driving business, actually getting deals on the table. Right?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, what it means is,
what do you mean? Some brokerages don't.
There's just traditional ways where it's like, okay, come on, jump on in the brokerage, you're going to get support here, here, and here. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, that new agent has to, grow business. They have to, get to a place where they're in front of people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I would say every single brokerage, every single one, I believe that the agent needs to realize they're going to have to work on their own in some level. They're going to have to generate their own stuff. I think the promises are the issue a lot of times, like the expectations that come in. You know what I mean? Like I do believe in having support, and I think even joining a team, the right team, like I think that's really good stuff. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day, if I was a broker, I'd be like, hey, here's the deal. We're going to cover conveyancing. We're going to have an amazing network of people. But we can literally build your entire business for you and you can fail. I just want you to know that. We can build all your systems. We can even hand you the leads and you can fail. I just want you to know at the end of the day, it's going to be on your shoulders. So just so you know, if you don't do the work, you're probably going to fail. And if you're too scared to be judged, you're probably going to make half the income the guy that doesn't care about being judged. Like I would come at it like that. I mean, just so you know, you talk to 500 people, you'll probably win. If you don't, you're probably going to lose. I would just be like the weirdest guy.
And how effective would that be though? Versus the other way, right?
Oh, everyone would be like, thank you, done, let's go.
And it was
it's honesty, right?
Yeah, it was almost like a personal thought that I had before it was verified. Do you know what I mean? Because I was new in the industry. It was like the first back of my mind, like, oh my God, oh shit, okay. Yeah, exactly. So no, it makes sense. So that's probably the first thing that, I would stress to a new agent.
So let's talk lead gen. When I met you, you went into what you know best which is you just get on that phone and grind out calls. And so let's talk about this because it's really cool perspective because you won in some level, the amount of calls, man, this just everyone who's listening, Scott is a master on the phone. I've watched him. You get on the phone. I almost wanted to buy a house last time when I saw him. I said, let me take it. I almost wanted to buy. I'm just saying he's good on the phone. And the thing is though, so what I love is I want to make sure you and people understand he's one of the best. So when you're comparing yourself to when you're going, when I did lead gen, just realize what this story is, the one of the top guys on the phone. And how many deals did you? You went straight lead gen. You found a lead gen. You did what, 30 deals your first year, which is crazy good.
Yeah, I think my first year in, I already knew about lead generation. I already knew the process of it. Brian Ray, who's like one of my mentors in the industry here, he's been doing real estate for about 30 years. When I was looking at a career transition, he suggested, hey, you know, just come under my wing, you know, maybe understand the whole lead generation world and things like that, which was not new to me. Lead gen, like in terms of phone calls, and I have had business
Sales.
in the past, yeah, with sales that, you know, that required good phone skills. So, you know, I actually had the experience of kind of being an ISA before I was an actual realtor, and then
Inside salesperson, if anyone's
yeah,
ever wondering.
yeah. So doing that, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I have to do.
Yeah. So then you had this natural thought, let's
Yeah.
go, right?
Like it's a numbers game. Like, okay, so I've just booked them 6 appointments,
Yeah.
you know, in 3 or 4 days. Like this is the key. This is what can take me to where I need to go. And so when I first started real estate, I think I put a deal through my first 2 weeks of being licensed. Dude, I didn't even know how to write. I didn't even know how to write a contract.
I always say you learn the fastest when you got a deal in hand.
Didn't even know. So, and, you know, and it was really, really what should have been a beautiful experience was actually terrifying because I couldn't get a hold of anyone at my brokerage at the time to kind of walk me through this. So it was not a nice experience. Anyway,
yeah.
I understood right then and there that it's got to be about the scalability. Look, it's not the actual job of being like, if you care for people and you love what you're doing, you're going to do a good job. If you educate yourself in certain areas. But I knew I had to get in front of people. I knew that.
So the point too is this: you started lead gen, but now you're a few years in. Okay, this is I just want to see the new perspective of lead gen because I want to build it up because everyone's doing it, but I want you to really tell the real story and where are the holes because everyone and their effing dog is going after lead gen and it serves a purpose and you were a master at it and it worked. But the thing is, I don't think people realize what you have to do to make it work, which you had the skill set in, which 90% don't. And so now looking back, where were the holes? And now looking, so when you first started, yes, your skill set matched and it worked. But I really want to bring this conversation because I think people are throwing so much money at something that's not working for them. And they think that's the only way to do it, which I actually believe in lead gen. I just know where it actually plays in my business. So tell me what is the new view? Now you've gone through it, you've got a business rolling. You still crushing the calls, Scott?
I am not. So you actually mentioned this a few years back. You actually called me out on something that at the time I wasn't even aware of. And you know, and it all comes down to what does it take to work 100 leads a month with consistent follow-up and being relentless where you get up after you have a bad call and you stay so consistent with the amount of energy for, you know, that next person versus next person versus next person. Yeah, you know what? I could bang out, you know, 2 deals a month from lead generation very consistently. But what I noticed after time, and this is something that you mentioned initially, was that be careful because it could have some weight on you. It could burn you out to a degree. And
there's a cost that you might
there is
not
a
be
cost.
seeing.
There is a cost. And probably about a year ago, I kind of felt that cost. It was to the point where I almost felt like I was being controlled. Get up in the morning, do my calls, afternoon, do my follow-ups, evenings, go and then, you know, do showings. Maybe you've got some no-shows. Maybe you're working with people that don't exactly value your time and things like that. So that to me was a big shift. And that's when the world of, I guess, organic content came in play. that's when things started shifting for me. That's when I started focusing more on probably my core values and understanding that I want to be in the position to work with the people that I want to work with. Right. But how do
the business is amazing when you can do that. And when you don't, it sucks. It's such a contrast. Hey, when you have clients that love you, appreciate what you do, see your value, you literally need to focus on that the day you start. Find these people. And like, I get it. You got to take the deals when you got to make money. I get that. But yeah, like that's a great goal. You only work with people you love to work with, because then you love life filled with energy.
It really is. And I think, I think, I mean, why are so many people drawn to you? It's because you're authentic, right? And I think when you look at real estate, if you go on social media, there's so many things that are consistently the same, right? There's so many things like that are the same. And so like just breaking away from, I guess, that field, that force is just, it is nice when you actually can do it. And so,
And it's true, man. I think people are underestimating the power of being real and authentic. Like it really is. Like Scott, what I always say now, and you probably like this, over the years, I polish a lot of things and a lot of ideas, and then because I coach so much, but check this one out. When you start the game, start going after the referral. Don't go after the sale. Yeah. If you can have that mentality, like if you build a team, Scott, there's the culture. My team goes after the referral. Yeah. The sale is a secondary thing. What that does, Scott, is it changes your entire culture from grinding out, celebrating that closing to doing things in the relationship that are so freaking amazing. You'll go the extra mile. You'll even waste time, all to get the person to tell their friend. If we start from day one, let's go after the referral, not just the sale. And the sale is the secondary side result, because then you'll talk with this. Well, you won't have this conversation happen. Well, I got this guy called me, totally wasted my time. Like, what a loser. Like, that's such a loser mentality. And yes, I am saying people are losers that do that. The reason why I really am, because if you want to lose, how about this? So I took this guy out. He's not qualified. I showed him 10 houses. But guess what? This guy's going to be in my circle for life. Someday he'll buy. And guess what? He's already told his uncle about me. See, different game. Yeah. I don't mind wasting time. When I made $500,000 my first year, or just under 440 actually, I wasted more time than the average guy. I never qualified anybody, Scott. Never. I'm like, yep, let's go. And I made these people raving fans. Was my only goal. That was $1 million my first 2 years, dude. And it's like, and I've been really thinking about it. It's like, what did I do? Like, I went after the referral. Yeah. I didn't go after the sale ever. Yeah. And that's the same way I build everything now.
I've seen it. I've been there. I've seen how, your team and your culture operates. It's the first time I did the red carpet.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. Couldn't believe it. I had that puppy set up, and it was a condo. It was the first
that's the best.
Yeah. I throw out the red carpet there. I had everything. I had, the gifts at the, so it was like a condo, and the front doors had the red carpet there, and I had all the gifts. And then they pull up in their van, and they're just blown out. Like their mouths are dropped. I had people in this condo building looking down from their balconies saying, one guy said, I swear, one guy's like, well, my realtor never did that for me.
By the way, if I had $1 for every time that anyone I trained to do red carpets, that's literally what conversation happens. My agent didn't do that. David Estevan, he did his. He was like, "Man, you're not gonna believe it. They said the line." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happens."
It was electric. It was absolutely electric. And man, it was.
Now imagine compounding that from the day you meet to the day that you second visit, to the third visit, to the fourth visit. That red carpet's the cherry. That's what I like to think. That red carpet's the cherry. By the time they've already referred you to 3 people. They haven't even bought a freaking house yet. Now you're winning. You want to beat the game? That's how you beat the game. See, that's where lead gen is good. If you can get a person, get them into that thinking. But if you're just doing lead gen, turning a deal, holy crap, that's burnout waiting to happen. Yeah. That's the difference, right? Like, it serves a purpose, but we want to get out of that as fast as we can. because grinding sucks in this business. Who are you, Scott? They don't know your value. What are you going to do for me? No, I'm good. I'm different than all the other guys. Trust me, I'll work hard. Like I think what you just said was amazing, because it's the most underrated asset that every agent has, hands down, and it's their energy. And when you can roll on the carpet, you can blow someone's mind, and you feel love and you feel appreciation. There is nothing that fills you up like that, and for the next day. And if you're making your business built around these client experiences, you literally will never burn out. The cost of burnout is, let's stop working for 6 months, because that's what happens mentally. You don't want another phone call. You got another showing. You're not excited about a listing. That's a problem. You got to work on that energy. And that's what I think you just nailed it. It actually is for the agent who does it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, just experiences like that, you understand the power behind that, right? So going back to the lead generation, yeah, I mean, you definitely, you called me out back then. I didn't see it. I didn't realize it at the time, but yeah, it just kind of hit me one day where it was like, yeah, I'm not like living my life. I feel like a prisoner to a degree, and it's like, there's got to be a better way, and there is a better way. So
yeah, because you have to follow up, or you lose those. You just, because they're cold and and you're competing against every other good guy that's on lead gen. That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks. So where are you at now? So at one point you were thinking of moving back to Ontario. Now what's going on? So you're in Edmonton right now. You're rocking and rolling. What's the plan? What's the plan, Scott? What's your future? What's your future?
So, I mean, the end game is always going to be back to Ontario, because that's where all our family is, right? So, cool. But the business that we're focusing on now, there's certain areas that it can kind of par off to. So we're just really focusing. By the way, my wife just got licensed. She got her license just
real estate license. Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
She's jumping on board in the Tranquility method.
What is it? The Tranquility method? Tranquility
method. Yeah.
You're such a smart guy. It's like, it's so smart.
So it's pretty cool, because my brand, my logo, is me holding my daughter's hand, and Bailey, my wife, is on the other side. So we're both holding her hand, and it's just kind of a cool concept. And and that's kind of when I let go. It was all through COVID too, by the way. We're kind of going a little ahead here, but it's funny because my brand was literally born through COVID. When COVID hit, when shit hit the fan, it's like, that's when I just dialed back. Obviously I had help with Jess Leneville in marketing and things like that. I really just embraced it, man. I just embraced it.
You started putting out so you know what? There's a lot of bullshit content, and there's a lot of guys trying to hack the fucking, social media. And when you're hacking social media, it's hard to be authentic a lot of times. What I saw, Scott, was you started putting out videos of high value, and that's subject to someone's interpretation. My interpretation was it was super high value. I didn't say nothing. I was watching, and what you're doing, and you obviously have the energy as well. So I think a lot of people shouldn't be on video. You should be. And the thing is, my wife goes, "Hey, you see Scott's stuff lately?" And my grade on marketing is, does it create a conversation behind your back in a very positive light? Does it create raving fans? My wife brought it up to me, Scott. Yeah. And that's what nobody sees, the effect of that power of being real, giving high value. But the problem is most people think it's going to get results instantly. It's a long game. But what you're doing, Scott, it was great, man. Like, I just love the videos. People need to follow you. What's your handle so people can start following you? Is it just Scott Holliday at Facebook and Scott Holliday?
Scott Holliday Real Estate, and then they'll see the Tranquility method. But no, it's
I'll throw the links on this too.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's when things really hit home, is when I stripped everything back through COVID and I had time to focus on this. Like, how do I make my business better, and what do I really focus on? Ben, man, I was getting clients through COVID from content that I was putting out there, and I wasn't even talking about real estate.
Hello.
I was putting.
That's the trick, dude. Be yourself.
Yeah, I was putting personal story, like I was putting vulnerable stuff out there.
Of course.
Right. That I literally equated to actual relationships, and it's not like that was in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, I'm going to write this content and hopefully get it business. It wasn't about that. It was about unfolding my brand and really showing that there's depth to that. and a lot of the content, like I said, through the COVID, it had nothing to do with real estate. It was interesting. So,
And why do you, guess what? Here's the thing. If it's all real estate, guess who watches that? Realtors. That's what happens. All it is other real estate agents watching your content. Guess who watched it? My wife.
yeah.
That's why it works, Scott. Why was my wife watching some real estate agent's content? Who wants to watch real estate? You want another market update? Yeah. Guess what? All the other agents can take your information and use it. Or who wants a market update? You only want one market update every 5 years, maybe every 10 years. I need a market update, but they just go on those market updates. And
it was crazy.
Hey, I'm at an open house. You're just talking about real stuff.
It was such a weird transition, and it was so liberating to a degree. And it was like, man, I know how I am now, and I know how I operate. My clients know how I am. I'm not that suit guy, tie guy. You know that, right? Yeah. So the content I put out there, but developing a business that shows that I have structure and systems is just, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. I'll never go back the other way. And it's like, now I look at, like you just said there, I look at realtors, feed in their Facebook and things like that on social media present. It's like they're messaging to realtors.
Yeah. Well, they're not thinking, they're just thinking of put as much as you can out there, listen to Gary Vee, do 45,000 posts, but it's still got to be good. It's a missing factor. It's got to be good. And the people aren't connected to you because of your real estate agent, because you're a Edmonton Oilers fan. They're connected to you because you're a runner, because you work out. There's 100 ways for people to connect, and real estate doesn't have sticking power. It's not a place where people are like, do you know what has sticking power? Other real estate agents.
The first power of actual understanding the true meaning behind the power of content was like the first thing I wrote about through the COVID when I was working on everything. And I put some very vulnerable content out there. And it was actually about us losing our son in Ontario, like a couple of weeks before his delivery date and stuff like that. So it was something, and I was writing content about community. And when we first moved to Alberta, this was still fresh. What happened in Ontario was still fresh. So moving here, we almost felt a bit, not lost, but we didn't feel grounded.
Yeah.
And so I wrote content about going through that experience. And then one day when we bought our house, it's because we were literally, we were connected to that community. And then, a year later we had Audrey. So it was all kind of tied in together, but it was very vulnerable. Like, I think when I wrote it, it took me about half an hour to press send. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh shit, exactly. Here we go. I can't take this back. This is, is this going to offend people? Is this going to
we're so worried. We're so scared to be ourselves. It's just so politically driven, right? Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. But people are desperate for real, man.
Oh, and the feedback I got was just insane.
I just want you to keep it up, man. Like, I think that's the next thing, is make sure that you keep going. Like, cause that's the long game is 50 times better than this first game. That's one thing I know, man. Like, you literally just cracked this COVID and you started to connect, and you're like, it's like, holy shit, the dots are connecting. Wait till you're 3 years into that content. You want to see a real brand get built? That's how you do content. You keep it real, man. Let people follow you, be real, show who you are. But the moment, like, I'm not saying this is you, I'm saying more for anyone else. The moment that someone listens to this, go, oh man, I want to share my story and all this. If it's not authentic, I don't care what you share, it's still going to have a residue of an agenda. And so if we can just share who we are and truly build that community, man, Scott's killing it that way. And that's, my wife's loving it. I just think this needs more content. I just think I want to hear more. Scott, you do great, man.
Yeah,
it's interesting, right? You can feel it. So Scott, we're kind of getting near the end here, and I always ask a funny question.
Yeah.
If you were to make a scratch and sniff sticker, what would be the smell and what would be the picture on it?
Oh man, scratch and sniff. So probably chocolate would be the smell, and the picture.
You love chocolate, don't you? I think I remember that.
The picture would be a bear.
Interesting. You'd look at a bear and smell chocolate.
Yes. Do you know why?
No, I want to hear.
Yeah, Audrey has a scratch and sniff beer that smells like chocolate. So,
Oh man, that sounds like a cheat.
yeah.
Awesome, man. Okay, well, you know what? I always like to turn the tables. I think I've got lots to learn. I'm obviously in the position where I'm talking a lot and interviewing and stuff, but I think there's always a chance to be challenged. There's always a chance to throw a question back at the guest. If you want to ask me a question, I'm willing to answer. And I'd like it. I like a good question. So if you had to ask me a question, what would it be?
Anything. I can ask you anything.
Bring it on, buddy.
Right.
Look at this.
Right.
If anyone could see his eyes right now, it looks evil.
Ben.
Am I regretting this right now?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
go ahead.
I don't think so.
No, I'm just joking. There's nothing I'd be regretting.
I'm actually very curious. I've been following you from day one. We've become really good friends. I know the direction you're going in. I know what you're capable of doing. What is the ultimate position that you're going to be in the future where you're going to look up and think to yourself, man, I did it? What does that look like?
It's just
10 years.
So
Whatever it is.
Here's the thing. I'm going to first, before I get into the big picture, I just want to tell you, I already have that moment right now, Scott.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, man, but like I've got massive vision, massive ambition, but Scott, I won the game, buddy. Yeah. Scott, I won the game. My marriage almost fell apart once. I've made tons of money. I've got a team that's amazing. I get to freaking do retreats and like I get to help unlock the soul of human beings already. And I get to help with their businesses, add meaning to their life. My kids are into me. My son, who's 16 years old, came to my last personal growth retreat. People are renewing my program 3 years in a row. There's 15 grand a year. And these guys are renewing three times in a row. And it's like at what point, Scott, is enough? Yeah. And so for me, dude, I got crazy dreams, dude. I know where I'm going, but the thing is though, I've won the game. Yeah. I've won the game. What more? Like, I think it'd be cool to live in a van with my wife. I think that would be, if I look in 10 years, if I'm in a van and I'm living in a van with my wife, that's cool. That's unfreaking believable. Now, yeah, for sure, I'll be on big stages, and yeah, for sure, I think I'm gonna be because my whole mission's one at a time, blow their minds. Yeah. And why? Here's one thing. Why people say I want to inspire millions of people? What the F is wrong with one? Yeah, one human life. Wow. Could you not just finish your life and say, "Wow, I impacted Scott"? Yeah. Holy shit. Like, why is that? How disrespectful to the one guy. Well, I only did one, but that's one guy. Yeah, no. And so I have a weird balance between a vision bigger than the universe, and a grounded vision that says I've won. And it's not a game. It's a weird answer. Like, I think you see where I could go as well. And I see that as well. Totally. But I used to chase that and it cost me too much. And I realized the one words is, what is your enough? And it almost bothers people. It almost like goes against the grain of the A-type. And it's like, no, it's never enough. I'm never stopping. Like, no, what is your enough? Yeah. And then let's crank the ambition. Yeah. Because then you're unstoppable when you're in the field. And you can't lose. Yeah. You can't lose. All it is, it's almost like you won the lottery and you're playing with the interest. Right. I could lose it all and I still won. So that's a weird answer for you. But I figured you'd give me an answer like that. I expected that, but no, good answer. Yeah, man. Scott, awesome, man, being on the show. I can't wait. I'll be putting this out here next, I don't know, a couple weeks or something. But yeah, man, anyone that knows Scott, you can hook up with Scott. He's a wealth of information, great guy to know. I think you're going places too, man. There's just no doubt in my mind. I just think that you just got to pick a path that's big enough for you. Because sometimes I think you're picking a path that's too small. That's all I got to say to you. I think there's a big path out there for you that's just waiting for you to take on. So, buddy, thanks so much. I'll kill the recording now. It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean that. Appreciate that, Ben. Thank you. Thanks for having me.